In this video, we are going to begin looking at more HTML tags. So in the previous class, we looked at the introduction to HTML elements and tags. We learned about what elements and tags are in HTML. In this class, we're going to take a look at more specific HTML elements and tags. So let's start with the head tag. Okay, so if you remember the document structure for an HTML document, it begins with the doc type declaration, first of all. Then you have the HTML tag or HTML element, and inside the HTML element, you have first a head tag and then the body. So what goes inside of the head tag? Well, you will have things like link tag, a title tag, a meta tag, and a style tag. Okay, and we'll take a closer look at what each one of these are, beginning with the link tag. So the link HTML element specifies a relationship between the current document, so the document that this tag is in, and an external resource, so and another file. So the HTML document that it's written in and another file. So this link tag is usually used to link to style sheets, so CSS style sheets, or maybe even some script, JavaScript. It can also be used to establish site icons, so favicon style icons and icons for the home screen and apps on mobile devices. Okay, so to link to a style sheet, it will look like this in your link tag here. Okay, you have an attribute href, which shows the file path to where your style sheet is. Okay, so CSS is the folder that it will be in. Notice that everything is lowercase, so when you name your files and folders, it needs to be lowercase as well. Okay, and style.css is the file name. The next attribute over is relationship. So the relationship is that this is its style sheet. Okay, so the next example is another link, and the href goes to the images folder, and it's a favicon.ico. Okay, it can also be a PNG, and this is to get the icon. Okay, or the little logo that you see in the tabs of your browser. The relationship would be icon. Okay. All right, so let's practice how to add a favicon. So first you have to prepare a square dimension image in PNG or ICO format for your website logo. If you already have a PNG, you can use it, or you can save it as an ICO too. So you just rename the PNG or ICO image to favicon. Okay, so most browsers automatically detect favicon.png or .ico file located in your website directory as your website's icon. Okay, so the trick is, though, you must name it favicon.png and nothing else. And the next thing we're going to look at is title, but before we move on, let's practice adding a favicon. So I'm just going to exit out of my PowerPoint, and let's open up your Atom, okay, the source code editor. So in the previous class, we created a folder called site. So wherever you have saved it, please open it up. I already have mine open up, but you can go to, go locate that file. So open, and then go find it wherever you have saved it, and then open it up, and that should open up your file, index.html, and in here you have written, this is Yin's paragraph, or this is, your name's paragraph. So what we're looking at right now is what goes inside of the head tag. So what goes inside of the head tag, like I said, is things like link. Okay, but link element on its own means nothing. Okay, you have to add attribute to it. So this is where you can add a style sheet. Okay, so the style sheet will be CSS. The path to the style sheet would be CSS style.css. Now what does this mean? CSS here refers to the folder that you have here. Remember creating that folder? Okay, so CSS, the word CSS here calls to the CSS folder, and then inside the CSS folder you should have a style sheet, but right now we don't have anything yet. Okay, but anyway, continuing on, I'm going to say the relationship is then style sheet. So I just press equals and then enter, and this shows up, so which is great because I can just kind of, instead of typing things out, I can select it. Now if you're someone who's worried about spelling it wrong because you're unfamiliar with the terms, I suggest that you use the autocomplete feature here. Okay, so now this is perfect, except that I don't have a style sheet. So I'm going to save this, go to File, Save. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm saving the index.html. I've made some changes, the changes being link equals href equals css stylesheet.css. So I've inserted a link to a style sheet that doesn't exist. So now I have to go create that style sheet. So let's go do that. Go File, New File. Okay, and I'm going to go File, Save As. So I created a new blank file, and I'm going to save it inside the CSS folder. Okay, and I'm going to call this style.css. Notice that I'm writing everything in lowercase. Everything is lowercase. If you decide to suddenly make something uppercase, everything will not work. Okay, so it's very important that it must be lowercase. You cannot have even one uppercase. So it's case sensitive. Only lowercase, please. So now you can see I've created a style.css here. I'm going to close that. It's blank, so even though it's linked to it, it's not really going to do anything. Don't worry, in the next following classes, we're going to learn how to write CSS so that the CSS style sheet can apply some beautiful styles and make our pages look more interesting. But for now, we're just going to create a blank style sheet. So right now, this index.html is linked to the style sheet. So if there was a style in the style sheet, if there was some code in there, that style would apply to index.html. All right, so I'm just going to close that so we have less things open. All right, so the next thing I wanted to look at was to add the favicon, right? So I'm going to add link href equals, and the favicon should be in the images folder. And it has to be called favicon, and it can be .ico or ping, and the relationship would be icon. Okay, so in the following video, we are going to create a favicon, save it in the images folder, okay, inside of this folder, so that when it's linked to, right now it's linked to it, so that when we view this in the browser, we can actually see the favicon show up. And the favicon is, what you see up here, okay, that little logo there.